Hey guys, Reuben Williams here, founder of SportsGrad. Back in the day, I landed a job at Cricket Australia on the Monday after my final university exam. And then 3 years later, when COVID hit and my job was made redundant, rather than looking for work for months on end, I was headhunted into a role that doubled my salary. I'm not telling you this to brag, I'm telling you because there is a method to it. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. For example, Lucas Viana, one of our members, called the SportsGrad method a cheat code, and another member, Sasha Brahim, she called it magic. And honestly, I'll take that. Now, most people spend years trying to break into sport and never figure out why it is not working. And so the reason that this podcast exists is to change that. Every week, I'm going to share some real moments from real coaching calls that are unfiltered, unscripted, so you get a taste for the kind of work that has helped people land over 800 roles in sport and counting. If you're ready to stop guessing and start moving in the right direction and go after the career that you've always wanted, apply for the SportsGrad Method program at sportsgrad.com.au. Now, let's get into it. We've all got our level 2 answers, but we want to take it to the next level. So we want to go up to level 3. And so that means dropping in these indicators of potential and giving them a burger with a lot, with the extra fries and upgrade that they didn't ask for but are blown away by. So the way that we do that is by first understanding what is actually inside our burger. And we can only do that if we can see it from like a bird's eye view. So to be able to do that, the thing that I used to do to identify this was simply color code sections of my interview answer that indicated different things. So I knew that signaling my potential was going to be the most important thing, and I listed out all the different indicators here, and then I'd simply go through my answer with a fine-tooth comb and highlight any time that I indicated that particular indicator. So for example, like using the color of orange for initiative, in the answer that I shared before, when I wrote down and said, first, I collaborated with every department to get their insight and shape the idea. This included pitching to the commercial team, yada, yada, yada. Like that signals initiative. I didn't just jump to I had an idea and then I pitched it. Let me tell you about how I actually came up with the idea, which actually involved using the initiative of actually, I should consult everyone that this may impact. So we color coded it and I know it's in there and I know, all right, this answer's got a sufficient amount of an initiative involved. But if you notice that a particular color is missing, that's where you might want to expand on your answer or particularly add to it. So for example, if we go back to this top answer here, you can see it's a bit thin. So this example is here was what I used to talk about myself getting into cricket. And the example is being the president of the Deakin Uni Sports Society and growing membership. So my first response to this was, in my final year of university, I was the president of the Deakin Uni Sports Society. Here it was my job to lead an organisation whose aim was to prepare students for a career in sport, primarily through events. To ensure we were able to have a profound impact, I introduced key objective setting, schedules of planned activities and tasks, an overall strategic plan, restructured the organisation and implemented evaluation systems. Ultimately, we were able to increase membership by 71% in 1 year, from 125 to 213, and hit our lofty target of 200 members. Again, not bad. But if we want to really, pump it up, then I would go through and start to color code the different sections of my answer to understand what is there and what is missing. So for example, when I go through this answer to begin with, I can see all right, I've already got initiative there, but I didn't have problem solving. I haven't shown how Reuben Williams thinks to, overcome a challenge. So that's where I began to expand on the action part of my response. So to build on this section, I went on to say, introduce all this different stuff. This involved upgrading the function rooms and catering to be on par with professional events, as well as hiring photographers and videographers to capture our events and market them in the future. Further to this, to ensure that we maximize our signups during O Week. So the problem being, how do we sell as many memberships as possible during O Week? I hired an ice cream cart of a bloke I was working casually for, which was very successful for attracting new members. So to elaborate on that, I was working for this guy. I said to him hey, I need an attractive offer to sell memberships at Deakin Uni. I was thinking, if we gave away an ice cream with every membership, that would really help us. But for you, you have a lot of, half empty tubs that, don't get taken out to the weddings and the business parties and the birthdays that you serve. Could I rent the cart off you at 10 a.m. on a Wednesday when you're not going to be using it anyway for a super cheap rate? You get a bit of cash out of your cart being idle, and I can help sell some more memberships. And my boss said, yep, no worries. Here's a cart, off you go. And you bet we sold a lot of memberships when you got a free ice cream with it as well. And so when I actually started to dig into my answer, that was a key thing that indicated how Reuben Williams thinks and operates that I just left out. So what you want to do is start to find out what are those little, I call them sidebars for yourself. If you can imagine the interview answer is you driving the highway from Melbourne to Sydney, but every now and again, you just want to take a little sidebar. So you turn off the highway, go into a little country town, explore around there for a bit, and then you get back on the highway and you keep telling your story. And then when you finally arrive at your destination and someone says, how was the drive? Rather than just saying, oh, we stayed on the highway and we drove from Melbourne to Sydney. It's like, oh, actually, no, we got off at Holbrook and we, went to the local bakery there. They've got this old submarine. So we went and had a look at that as well. And then after a bit, we got back on the highway and carried on. That's kind of the route that your interview answers should take to just add a bit more detail and color to tell more about your journey from A to B. Another example as well is you might already identify that you have indicated one of these things, but it just might not be much at all. You might think, I can add more of that. The color blue is a bit light on. How can I add more blue? So for example, when I get to the results section of this answer, it started as a result, we were able to increase membership by 71% in 1 year and hit a lofty target of 200 members. Further to this, at one of the last events of the year, I had a student come up to me and explain the conversation that he had just had with Hannah Every-Hall from Rowing Australia and thanked me for putting on the event. In that moment, it reminded me of the significance of the role and was proud of the impact that we were able to have on our peers. So then I've gone back and thought about what's the anecdotal results that I can add to this answer, and what's the long tail impact of doing this thing. Well, the people in the society have been able to go on to start their career in sport and have a fulfilling career. All right, guys, that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed that and got something out of it. If you want to learn directly from me and our other SportsGrad coaches who are working directly in the industry, then jump into the SportsGrad Method program. Once you're inside, you'll also get access to the entire SportsGrad Method curriculum that comes with a 90-day roadmap, so you know exactly what to do next. There is a step-by-step system to this. You do not have to think of what to do. We have thought of it all for you. Plus, you can tap into the SportsGrad network and get introductions to the people that might be hard to meet for you at the moment. Plus, you'll be surrounded by the wonderful SportsGrad community who are all helping each other get closer to their goals as well. So the results speak for themselves. Have a look at the website if you want to check it all out, but we'd love to see you inside and receive your application. See ya.